There's a version of you, right now, that's already sitting on money you haven't collected yet. Not someday. Not after you build a business. Within 48 hours. Most people hear that and assume it's a scam. It isn't. It's just something almost nobody explains correctly. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes when they try to make extra money fast. They go looking for something brand new. A new skill, a new platform, a new idea from scratch. And that's exactly why it takes them months instead of days. The people who actually generate fast, legal income do the opposite. They don't create something new. They convert something they already have. Let that sink in for a second, because it changes everything about how you should be thinking about this. You already own things with value sitting completely idle. Skills nobody's paying you for. Time that's currently unstructured. Items collecting dust. Knowledge you assume isn't worth anything because it feels too obvious to you. Here's a number that will surprise you. Studies on the gig economy found that the average person has at least 3 sellable skills they've never once monetized, simply because they never framed them as a service. Not a hobby, a service. That distinction alone is where the money starts. So let's break down exactly how this works, starting with the fastest category first. Category 1. Converting existing skills into same-day income. If you can write clearly, edit video, design a logo, manage a spreadsheet, or even just organize someone's inbox, that skill has a marketplace price right now. Today, on freelance platforms people already trust. The mistake most people make is assuming they need to be an expert before charging for it. You don't. You need to be slightly better than the person hiring you, and for most basic business tasks, that bar is lower than you think. The people who make money in 48 hours aren't the most skilled. They're the fastest to respond, the clearest in their pitch, and the first to say yes to a small job that a hesitant person turned down. Category 2. Converting unused items into immediate cash. This one sounds obvious, and that's exactly why people skip it. The average household has hundreds of dollars in unused electronics, clothing, and equipment sitting in closets, doing absolutely nothing. Not slowly losing value in some retirement account. Just sitting there, worth zero, until it's sold. Here's the twist. Most people who try this fail, not because the items aren't valuable, but because they price things emotionally instead of strategically. They ask for what they paid instead of what the market will actually pay today. Drop the price to match real demand, and items that sat for months sell within hours. Category 3. Renting out access instead of selling ownership. This is the one almost nobody thinks about, and it's often the fastest of all three. You don't have to sell the thing. You can rent the use of it. A parking spot you're not using. A tool sitting in your garage. Even a spare room for a single weekend. Platforms exist specifically because this demand is constant, and most people simply never list what they already have. The pattern connecting all three of these categories is the same. Speed doesn't come from starting something new. Speed comes from unlocking value that's already sitting still. Now here's where most people get this completely wrong, and it costs them real money. They chase the idea of passive income before they've ever generated a single dollar of active income. They want the result without ever practicing the skill that produces it. But the fastest path to legal money isn't a system you build once and forget. It's action you take today, using what you already have. This is the part that separates people who actually make money this week from people who are still researching next month. Speed requires narrowing your options, not expanding them. The person trying 5 different side hustles at once usually makes less than the person who picks one, executes it in the next 24 hours, and adjusts from there. Here's a mindset shift that changes the entire equation. Stop asking, what's the best way to make money? Start asking, what's the fastest way to test if this specific thing works for me? One question leads to months of research. The other leads to money in your account by the weekend. Let's talk about why this actually works, because there's a psychological reason most people never take the first step. The brain treats an unfamiliar action as a risk, even when it's completely legal and completely low cost. So people research instead of act, because researching feels productive without requiring exposure. This is why so many people know exactly how to make extra money but have never actually done it. The fix isn't motivation. It's reducing the size of the first action until it feels almost too small to matter. List one item. Message one potential client. Post one listing. The goal isn't to build an empire in a weekend. The goal is to break the freeze, because once money moves once, it becomes real, and everything after that gets easier. Here's the part that changes how you should think about the next 48 hours. You don't need a business plan. You don't need a following. You don't need permission. You need one specific action, taken today, using something you already have sitting idle right now. The unused skill, the item in the closet, the space you're not using. Pick one, and move on it before the day ends. Because the truth almost nobody tells you is this. Fast, legal money was never about finding some hidden trick the rest of the world doesn't know about. It was about finally using what you already had, instead of waiting for something new to show up. The 48 hours were never the hard part. The decision to start was.